Today we'll think about what it means to be a child. How is it different from adulthood? Obviously in a lot of ways, but I'd love for you to tell me your experience and your opinions. So if you are writing in the chat, please share your thoughts in the chat. If you are a pro member, please join in the Zoom room. I'm welcoming everyone into the Zoom room now. Hi, Shailendra. Hi, Vanilla. Hi, Manju. Welcome.
Hi, ma'am. Good evening.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Welcome. Hi, Shailendra. How are you?
Yeah, ma'am. I'm doing well, ma'am. How about you, ma'am?
I'm good. It's good to hear. I can see lots of messages coming in very quickly, lots of people joining. So again, if I don't see your message, please rewrite it. I always try and look at all the messages. And if you have any questions, please ask. I will try and answer all your questions. Hi, Ananya.
Ma'am, today is the eve of India's Republic Day.
Ah, is it? Okay, so we can maybe talk about this topic on Thursday. Are you going to be celebrating, Shailendra?
Yeah, ma'am, but it is not confirmed, ma'am. If arrangement is done, then tomorrow I am going on a cyclothon. Yeah.
Ah, lovely.
Yeah, ma'am. It's a 118-kilometer cyclothon.
In one day?
Yeah.
Wow, that is a serious cyclothon. So it's not just a relaxed race. You're really taking it seriously. I like that.
Yeah,
exciting.
but
well, I hope you get.
It is not confirmed, but tomorrow in the morning, I will see whether they are organizing or not, because of, ma'am, this Omicron and due to heavy cold. The participants are less, but I am sure, I am confident that if they organize, then I will sure join it.
Lovely. I hope you get to. Yes, it's unfortunate that.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Maliha. How are you?
Fine, ma'am. I'm fine.
Great. Will you be celebrating the anniversary of India's Republic?
Yeah, Republic Day. Yeah, ma'am. Our society celebrating.
Great.
Now we can see all our society are decorated. Flags and balloons, colorful balloons. Yeah.
Have you decorated your home?
Yeah, ma'am.
Lovely.
Society decorated. Yeah. Corridor and all trees are all are decorated.
Lovely. And do you have specific plans for tomorrow, or will you just be enjoying the day?
No, ma'am, we little bit we have to celebrate. Someone host the flag, and we get together for a while, for little time, because there is so many diseases there, no? So we can't celebrate so much. Little bit we celebrate.
That's true. So I see Ratan in the chat says hello, everyone. So hello from Ratan in the chat. Hi, Maha. Welcome. I'm good. And
Hi,
you? Please share your stories. Hi, Isha. Welcome. How are you?
I'm good, ma'am. Thank you. And what about you, ma'am?
I'm good. Did you have a good weekend, Isha?
Of course, ma'am. But the weather has totally changed, ma'am. So it's affect me a lot, ma'am, actually. Whenever the weather has changed, it's affecting my brain is started fogging just like, ma'am.
The fog has started forming?
No, my brain has started fogging, ma'am. Just it looks heavier during winter, ma'am.
That's interesting. Yes, we do have a phrase. You're probably referencing the phrase brain fog.
Yes, my brain fog.
When your brain feels, you can say I have brain fog. Brain fog is when you feel confused or your brain isn't thinking as well as it usually does when.
Because of cold, ma'am, it's become very heavy. Your brain look like you are not able, you become absent-minded and you're not able to focus on your class, everything, ma'am. It just it feel like disconnected from everything.
That's a great way to describe it. Yeah, that disconnection, absent-minded. It's a great ways to describe it. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Abe. It's been a long time. How are
Yes,
you?
ma'am. I am joined your class after a long time, ma'am, because
Yes.
my mother had expired
Hade?
suddenly, ma'am.
Can you say that again, Abe? She Hade?
My mother passed away.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Abe. I'm so
Yes, ma'am.
sorry.
Recently on 23rd December, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hope you are taking care of yourself and
Yes.
looking after yourself. My condolences, Abe. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yes, ma'am. So I didn't attend the class, ma'am.
No problem. Take care of yourself, Abe. It's important to rest and take time away to think about things.
Yes,
We have been talking about the topic of childhood and our parents. So if you think it would be nice for you to share a story, you can, only if you feel comfortable. But if you want to share a childhood story, you can, Abe. Sometimes it's nice to think about the good memories.
Yes, ma'am.
And your garden, Abe, how is your garden doing?
Yes, ma'am. Everything is good, ma'am. But my mother had lost, ma'am. So, main thinking about my mother, ma'am.
Of course, that is normal. That is very normal.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a very difficult time. I'm sure you have lots of sympathy from lots of people in the class.
Yes,
Yes, it's understandable to take some time and think about it. It's a difficult thing.
Yes,
if you
ma'am.
want to...
But ma'am, I back on duty, ma'am.
Back on YouTube?
Duty job. Ma'am.
Back. I see. Oh, you're back to work. Okay. That is difficult. Don't try and do too much at once, Abe. Don't make yourself tired by doing too much. You can always rewatch the classes later. You don't feel like you need to join every class if you are too tired. Difficult to work and do studying, but if you enjoy it, then that is good.
Yes, ma'am.
So the topic that we have been talking about is childhood. We've been talking about this topic in the last few days. People have shared stories about what their childhood was like. We've thought about some questions. How is childhood today different from what it used to be like?
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
And today we will think about how is childhood different from adulthood. Obviously, it's very different, but what are the biggest differences in adulthood? And the other question that I want to ask early, so you all have time to think about it, is can we learn some things from children? Do they think in a different way than adults do? Do we need to be more childlike in some ways? So there is a child.
Adulthood means above 18?
Adulthood, yes. 18, okay. Usually 18 to 21, we sometimes call it.
Yeah.
Early adulthood.
Teenager, above teenage.
Yeah, teenager. So we're definitely going to think about this. We're going to start thinking about this next time, the different stages of life. You have teenagers are usually 13 to 19. Whenever you have the teen in the number. So yes, you have teenagers 13 to 19. You have early adulthood, could be 18 to 21, 22. Some of you may have heard of young adult stories. Yeah, early 20s could be, there is no fixed way to describe it, but it's about young adult fiction. This is stories that are targeted at young adults. YA fiction. These are stories like Twilight. We think about Twilight, maybe some of you have heard of it. It is targeted at young adults.
Twilight movie, ma'am.
Yeah, so sometimes when in the publishing industry, they talk about young adults as teenager, maybe 14 until 21, they target at that age group. But we usually talk about teenagers 13 to 19, young adults 18 to 21, 22, 23, and then adulthood. So there are different
age, ma'am. We can do anything in this age.
In which age, Maliha? What do you think?
In young age.
At the young age.
Yeah, teenager and early 20s. We feel very energetic. That's why we can do anything. We can do any hard work.
Yeah, so do you think it's easier to learn things when you're a child or a teenager or a young adult?
Yeah.
Okay, so some of the differences between childhood and being a teenager, the differences between adulthood may be energy. Energy. Yeah. Is there anything positive? Any positive changes about being an adult? Anything where it's actually better to be an adult than to be a child and a teenager? What do we think? Being a child and a teenager, often stages of life are different because of also what? Ayesha?
Yes, ma'am. At the age of 70 to 20, ma'am, this is a very crucial time for every children. And this time that time will depend, that time will also decide your future, because whatever you will take decision, it's also affect your future. So this is for education purpose. You have to take a very good decision, because after 25 23, after 25, after about 25 26, you could not change some decisions. So you want to go a very you want to go for a flexible life, a flexible study. Just take a good decision, otherwise it will hamper your future, might be.
Yeah, so it's all about the decisions that you make, and they're really important. Do you think adulthood has less important decisions to make?
No, at that time you become very mature. You can figure out what is wrong and what is right. So you can differentiate how to tackle with problems and how to overcome from problems. So this is also good time to learn, pursue your educations, and you will get the job. So it's a very nice time to learn something.
Yeah, ma'am, it is very important time to take decision for our future, as well as our marriage and our job, anything.
That's true. So there's lots of important decisions to make, and I like what.
Yes, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Ave, what do you think?
Ma'am, in India, who completed 18 years of age called adult person.
Yeah.
And below the 18, he called the childhood and young. Yes, ma'am.
Definitely. We can say that as a child, you're definitely really young. Do you think that we definitely mature as we get older? Do you think we completely lose the child in us as we get older? Is everybody completely mature in adulthood? What do we think?
And ma'am, in India constituency, below the 18, give the liberty of the people.
Below 18, you give the liberty of people?
People, yes, ma'am. Below the 18 years.
Yeah, you have less freedom, less. Yeah.
Freedom and follow the child.
Yeah,
Yes,
less freedom as a child, definitely.
as a child.
You can't decide everything. You're right. As an adult, we have more freedom to choose.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Hi, Shweta, how are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty well, ma'am. How about you?
I'm good. Did you have a good weekend, Shweta?
Yeah, ma'am. It was relaxing.
Ah, lovely. What do you think about this topic? What are things that we gain as an adult? What are things that we lose? What are the differences between childhood and adulthood?
Ma'am, difference between childhood and adulthood is child don't have intellectual thought process,
True.
and adult has all those stuff. Like they have intellectual things and they can think of all the things. And in child, they have lots of energy. If we want them to move forward, whatever, whatever, wherever we want, we can move forward them. Means they can follow whatever we tell to them to do, but adult won't do the same thing. Adult have their own thought process, and they are like very means very free minded. And they don't like nowadays they are very reluctant. They don't they don't like mm, listen to anyone. They think they follow their own beliefs, and they follow their own thought process, and they think that they are like they have their own way of thinking, and on those path only they go.
So do you mean children today or teenagers are?
No, it's about adult.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, teenagers are like nowadays they are very much of in thought process. Always they are thinking about a good thing, and child don't have that much of thought process, and they only enjoy their childhood. If I think about myself, in in childhood I never thought about anything. I only enjoyed in my whole means all whole childhood. And after when I got adult, like after 18, I was like very account means very uh, in my thought responsible, and I had chosen my things to study, means what I need to study and what I need to become. So all those stuff for future I thought in my teenager, when I was teenager, that time itself.
So as a child or a teenager, we can afford to not think about the future as much. We can have time to live in the present. But as an adult, we have to be future minded.
Yes, ma'am.
I like that. So I think you agree with Isha that says adults are better at problem solving. We think ahead, we have to plan, we have to problem solve. Great, Shweta, thank you. Sunil, do you want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. Very good afternoon, ma'am. Very good,
Good
evening, ma'am.
Good evening to you too. How are you, Sunil?
I am fine, ma'am. And how are you, ma'am?
I'm good. It's a nice sunny day here. What do you think on this topic, Sunil?
Ma'am, a teenager means?
Teenager is someone who is 13 years old to 19 years old.
19 and?
13 years old.
13 years to 19 years old.
Yeah. So an adult, some people think adults are from 21, some people from 18, but definitely in your 20s.
Okay.
I would like below 18,
ma'am.
Yes, below 18, you're a child still or a teenager. Yeah. What do you think, Sunil?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
To share my
I'll come back to you, Hemant. Hold on. Sunil is just sharing his opinion.
childhood story. Now
Yes.
I am adult, but when I was a child in 5th class, I used to bunk or miss English class, and then I am learning English class with Eden ma'am, because I am thinking now what is the benefit of English class and what is the uh, uh, what will do this after that all. But in childhood, I don't know about these benefits and all of things. So I used to miss my English class because so many things, or because to go enjoy uh, out of school. So it's in adult we think all of good things to us, our life, to improve our our life. And but in childhood we don't know about all things and how will growing up uh, like good good man.
Yeah, that's true. So as an adult, we have more determination to improve ourselves, to think about what is good for us.
Yes.
Children, teenagers might need somebody else to motivate them, to push them to do something useful. That is true. I think it's very normal, Sunil, to want to just have fun as a teenager rather than study. That's very normal. So do you think that it's better that during our adulthood we are more determined, that we don't need someone to... Hi, Isha.
Ma'am, I just want to talk about, ma'am, when I was child, I used to do lot of work simultaneously, like working, study. I used to run painting classes. But if someone will tell me just you have to go school again, it will be a big major problem for me. I cannot sit for 8 hours in the school. So that time patience level was very different. When concentration was very good that time, maybe. And our vision was very clear. We have to go school every day, and today if you will have to go every day the same place, it will just create a big pressure on me, ma'am. So that time my patience level was very good. So we have to go 2 years of life. I have been
Oh, you've cut out, Isha, but yes, I see your point. Some children are very motivated or they can study very hard. That's true. But maybe, like Sunil says, we think more future-minded. What is good for us? We might study because we are used to it. We have to go to school.
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, now you are.
Yes, ma'am. So we were that time we were just like canvas. So anyone can paint different kind of things on us. And that time our skills, we have used to learn lot of skills in at the age of like 10 to 12. So now I just become adulthood, so it's very hard for me to learning new skills. Whenever I'm trying different kinds of, try to learn different kind of skill, so it is taking much time than previous. So more time than previous, because that time we were just carefree, stress free, and we have lot of things in my mind, like I have to do this thing. So it just concentrate our mind to learn very fast.
That's true. Maybe, I mean, as a child, we are able to learn quicker. That's definitely true. We can still learn as an adult, maybe in a different way. And we maybe understand how to work a bit more.
Just like just like whenever our parents used to give a video game, we started operating sudden. We don't need to guidance. And now if you have to give something new, you have to use your own different mind, used to explore your mind, used to use your mind how to operate new things. So that time we were just more active than today, in just like in adulthood, man.
Yeah, That's great. Hemant, what do you think on this topic? You wanted to say something. Hemant, are you there? Can you share your thoughts on this topic? What do you think?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you think about this topic? Do you agree that maybe it gets harder to learn things as an adult, or is it sometimes easier? How do you think?
Ma'am, I am present time traveling. I cannot cannot speak. I only listen.
Okay, no
Ma'am,
problem, Hemant.
chance another person.
Do you have any questions, Hemant, though?
Okay.
Okay. Vanilla, do you want to share your thoughts on this topic?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Vanilla. How are you? Is it
Fine,
Vanilla?
ma'am.
Did I say your name right?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, great. What do you think on this topic? Do you have thoughts you want to share?
Yeah, ma'am. Childhood and adulthood are two different periods one's life time, but equally important.
Yeah.
Childhood is way better than adulthood. Being a child comes with a little stress, and you have 10 times the fun you do when you are an adult. Childhood has been considered as a blissful period in one's life where a child trusts everyone. Adulthood is ability to perceive and differentiate and learn new things, ma'am. Childhood is freedom. Adulthood is some restrictions, ma'am.
Yeah, some restrict. So it's interesting because what you said is different from what Abe thinks. Abe thinks we have more freedom as a child.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Do you agree that maybe, more freedom as an adult? Abe thinks we have more freedom as an adult because as a child, you are not really in control of your life. What you do is really up to your parents. You can choose some things. Do you think that's true too, Vanilla, that in some ways we do have more freedom as an adult?
Yeah, ma'am. Freedom and some restrictions, ma'am.
Yeah. So in some ways we become more restricted, or there are more restrictions. Hi, Dipali. Was it Dipali? Thank you, Vanilla. Thank you for sharing that. If you have any other thoughts, please share them. I think, was that Dipali who said hello? Oh, I thought I heard a hello from someone. Was it Ananya?
Yes, ma'am.
Dipali, did you say hello before?
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, Dipali.
Yes, ma'am.
I think is that maybe your daughter or your child? So, Dipali, what do you think on this issue?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Do you have a thought on this issue about the changes in adulthood and childhood, the good, the bad?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any thoughts on this topic, Dipali? Okay, well, let's think about this. If you have any thoughts.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any ideas, Dipali, that you want to share?
Yes, ma'am. The childhood is the not mature, but adulthood is the mature children, and but many times the adulthood children not.
Her child is disturbing her.
Yes, it's lovely because I can hear your child learning the words as you're speaking them, which is lovely, Dipali. Yes, in a moment I want to think about these ideas of sort of. Yeah, Shailendra, what do you think?
Okay, ma'am. The difference between adulthood is that in childhood you are carefree, but in adulthood you are burdened with the expectations of your parents and your family, and
Yeah.
you are also burdened with the responsibility, and the society also expect you to behave in a certain way, but that
Mm.
is not the case with the childhood. In childhood you can behave in any way, no one is bothered about that, but when you become adult, you are supposed to behave in a certain way. You can't
Yeah.
uh, you can, but it is very difficult to think out of the box when you become
Yeah.
grow.
The
People judge you.
expectation.
Yeah,
Hmm.
man. People
The
judge you
expect.
to society. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Um, I actually want to come to this topic. Yes, Corey, do you want to say something? Mature, yeah. There's
And
the
ma'am,
expectation that adults have to be mature. You can't be silly as an adult.
yeah.
People can have fun, but you have to be more mature. Yes. What else do you think,
Yeah.
Shlendra?
And ma'am, in India, ma'am, 18 is the age from which you can start using your franchisee. You can
You
vote a franchisee. You can start using your franchisee. Like
you can have a
vote,
business,
vote,
be a business owner.
vote,
Yeah.
vote, franchisee,
Oh, you
using
can
franchisee.
vote. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, it shows that the country, even the country has given you responsibility of choosing the government of your country. So it
Yeah.
shows that you are now not a carefree person, and you have to deal with in a responsible way.
Mm.
So yeah, ma'am. So it is the end of your like golden days.
Mm. I like that. So I want to think that there's a lot of really interesting ideas that have been raised. There are some people who think you have more freedom as a child, more freedom as an adult. Childhood is more carefree, whereas adults have more responsibility. So a bit of different opinions there. I think there's agreement that you have more fun as a kid. You don't have to worry as much about having responsibilities. There is a young girl who now she's a teenager, but she gave a very interesting TED talk about the ideas of being a child. And she said some really fascinating ideas that I want to think about and some quotes. So this is the first quote that she said. Her name is Adora. She gave a talk about what adults can learn from children. She believes that as an adult, we lose some ways of thinking, a little bit like Shalendra mentioned. It's difficult to think outside the box. She said because adults are forced to think about what is realistic rather than what's possible. So this is one quote that she said. I want to know if you agree with it. She said, let's abolish. To abolish means to get rid of, to remove. To abolish something is to not have it anymore. So she wants to remove the term, the word childish, because adults normally cause the largest problems. She thinks, why do we use the word childish as negative when it's usually adults and not children who are causing problems? What do we think? Do you agree with this? Hi, Rajesh, welcome.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, how are you?
Fine, ma'am. And ma'am, what about you?
I'm good, Rajesh. So we are talking about the topic of childhood, being a teenager, and we're thinking, what are the changes? How is it different from being an adult? And thinking about some people's ideas.
Yes, ma'am, it is totally correct, ma'am.
Okay, why do you agree with her?
Ma'am, because ma'am, let's say this term child is why they use child is because in childhood we fight with each other with on some petty issues, but these fights are harmless. They are not with arms and ammunition. But when a adult person, when a countries they fight with each other, they use heavy weaponries, they use weapons of mass destruction. So ma'am, it is not the child who is it is not the children who are devastating or who are causing these uh, disaster on this earth. It is the adult person who are fighting with each other for their greed, and they are destroying this world.
Yeah. So often when we want to criticize someone, we say that they're childish, meaning they're behaving like a child. But like you said, there are certain things that we might say are childish, but we don't grow out of them. Like people going to war. It seems childish, but it still happens in adulthood. It's adults who lead people into war. What else do we think? Does anyone else have an opinion on this idea? Do you agree with what she says? Do you disagree? Do you think the term childish doesn't make sense or it makes sense? What do you think, Kumar?
Ma'am, actually, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good evening. How are you, Kumar?
I'm great, ma'am. Thank you. How about you, ma'am?
I'm good. So we're talking about this topic, childhood.
Ma'am, actually, I have just one thought. Whatever adults do, their responsibilities makes them do, ma'am. Actually,
yeah,
they don't do that. I mean, for nothing. They do that for. They do that because they have a responsibility. I mean, just my friend pointed out about the war, in the weapons and everything. So they have responsibility, ma'am. Actually, that
so
is why they have to defend their country and to defend. Ma'am, actually, inventing weapons and heavy weapons. I mean, any kind of weapons is not about war. It about just to be a strong. I mean, enhance our security technology, ma'am, and it is all about defense, ma'am, not to attack. I mean, whatever we invent, the weapons, we just invent to defend ourselves, not to attack others.
Yeah, that's true. But is it always the case? I can think of lots of leaders who go to war when they just want power. If you think about Putin in Russia wanting to take over Ukraine,
actually,
is that for defense?
No, actually, this time, actually, ma'am, I don't think it is just about news. News are exaggerating, ma'am. I don't think it's happening. I am aware of this, ma'am. Whatever you are saying, but actually, nobody gonna fight. Nobody gonna, I mean, attack anyone, because now the people understand the term of the world is now, ma'am, full of globalization. So in this globalized world, nobody want a war. Everybody want a peace, ma'am. Actually, if you, and before it used to be like the world was not interconnected, but now the whole country, I mean, there are 200 countries in the world, and all the countries are interconnected to each other. So I don't think they're gonna attack, because they will attack, but they will have to pay a price for that, ma'am. We saw in Israel and Palestine conflict, ma'am. Actually, Israel had to pay the price for that.
But what do you think about wars that happened quite recently? 10, 20 years ago, we could still say the world was globalized. Did it stop wars happening? What do you think?
Ma'am, it was globalized, but not as now, ma'am. Actually, it was very less. Now, actually, if Russia will attack over Ukraine, I mean, if Russia gonna invade Ukraine, actually, the world will definitely criticize. But everyone is doing for their one greed, and for their one, I mean, ma'am, I mean, goodness. I don't know what is the word. I mean, how to say, ma'am? For their one
for their
satisfaction.
own self-interest.
For their one satisfaction.
Oh, okay.
Self-interest. Yes, ma'am.
You can talk about self-destruction.
Ma'am, but whatever happened in Taliban nowadays, these days, whatever happened in Afghanistan, you can see that the country went collapse and everything. I mean, nobody wants like that, a nation, to be like that.
Okay. What about other things where people call people childish? Do we
I
think?
just give my opinion, ma'am. I'm not expert.
Yeah, good.
I just put my whatever I think it's right.
That's what these sessions are for, to get you thinking, to using your language in English and expressing your ideas. So great. Thank you.
That's all, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Does anyone else think about this quote? Does anyone else have an opinion on this quote? Maybe not war. We can think about war as well, but are there any other times where people are called childish for doing a certain thing? Is that term childish, is it the correct one to use? Should we say you're being too adultish? Or is it that people who are behaving like that, is it because they haven't grown up? Is it because they still have some traits of a child? What do you think? Is this a correct term to use? Should we abolish the term childish? Is it unfair to children? Because maybe not all children are irresponsible or cause big problems that some adults cause. What does someone think? Okay, well, let's come back to another quote that Adora said. So she made the point that there are other things that adults can learn from children, because when we are an adult, we tend to be cynical, we tend to be jaded. So let's think about this. Her argument, her belief is that we should learn from children, that adults and world leaders should ask the opinion of children because they have something valuable to say. This is what she says. We always reference kids. We always say they are the ones who will live in the world in the future. So we talk about them, but we very rarely, we don't at all or often ask their opinion. She says the inexperience of children might be what give them the ability to teach adults because they are not jaded or cynical. What do you think? Do you agree?
Ma'am, what does it mean, jaded or cynical, ma'am?
Yes, I'm going to get onto this. So, jaded is when you are bitter. You've had bad experiences in life and you are bitter about life. You are cynical means you are very pessimistic. You don't think that certain good things will happen. So you've had some experiences, you have the expectation that things will not go well or that it is not possible to do something. So cynical means you're very pessimistic. For example, she thinks that adults don't want to try big solutions in the world because they think they're not going to work. They think the big ideas are unlikely, so they never do them. They don't say, oh, it's possible to solve all these problems because they are pessimistic. And jaded, they are bitter about life. They have bad experiences, so they think bad things will happen. So jaded, sort of bitter. Maybe this is a pessimistic view of adulthood. What do you think? Are there parts of this that you agree with? Are there parts that you disagree with? What do we think? Who has an opinion on this quote? Do you think that children can teach adult things? Should we think more like children? Should we have big dreams?
And we
What do
can
you think,
say
Mike?
some poor children had cynical experience.
Had what experience? Cynical?
Cynical.
Yeah. Cynical. Yeah, excellent, Melly. That's very true. She didn't think about this. There are lots of children who had difficult childhoods and are cynical. Yeah. That's a really good point, Maliha. Yeah. So maybe it's personal. Maybe it's not about whether you're a child or an adult. It's also about the experiences you had in life. If you had bad experiences, you're more likely to be pessimistic. If you had an easy life, you're more likely to be optimistic. That's a really good point. What else do we think? Does anyone else have an opinion on this quote? She also Yes, Isha, what do you think?
Ma'am, ma'am, I didn't understand this question, ma'am, actually.
Okay, so this is the quote by Adora.
Yes, ma'am.
She says, we always talk about children when we're thinking about the world. We always say children will be the ones that have to deal with global warming. We talk about that, but we don't ask them their opinion. What should we do about global warming? What kind of world do you want to live in?
Yes, ma'am, we can take opinion from them because they don't think before they speak. Sometimes they speak from their heart, not brain. So we can take inspiration from small kids also.
That's exactly what she's saying. Yeah, she's saying adults should think more from the heart.
Even their opinion and views are not politically and beneficially. They don't speak. They speak just like carefree. They are not expecting any benefits after talking. Yeah, they don't want to impress the other people. So it would be a good idea now.
Yeah, Isha, I think you've hit the nail on the head. Have you heard that idiom?
Yes, ma'am. Hit on the head.
You've hit the nail on the head. You've got the exact point that she was making. Adults think too much from their mind, less from the heart. Sometimes we need to maybe learn and think more from the heart. And just like you said, adults have lots of maybe motivations, maybe political values that they have to hold, or they might have reasons why they have to have a certain opinion. Maybe it's not to do with them, maybe it's politically motivated. So yes, we can learn from the way that children think more from the heart. What does everyone else think? Does anyone agree?
Ma'am, thinking from heart is not possible when you are adult, ma'am, actually.
Okay.
Because you have to think in certain way. Your circumstances make you think in certain way. But in childhood, ma'am, we have no responsibility. So our brain does not work. I mean, our brain does not think on that. And our brain always think based on experience, ma'am, actually. So the child have no experience. That is why they don't think too much, and they cannot think. I mean, the good or they cannot differentiate between good or bad things. But adult can do that because they have experience, they have responsibilities.
That's true. Do you think that adults are too pessimistic though? Are they too scared to try new things in the world, to solve big problems because they think it's not going to work? They're too cynical.
No, ma'am. Actually, adults are, I think, optimistic, and the child is pessimistic, ma'am. Actually.
Okay. Interesting, Huma. Why do you think that?
Pessimist.
What makes you think that?
Actually, adult have always a goal, but child does not have. I mean, when I was in school, nobody told me what I have to do, what I want to do. I had to do things on my own. I had to find out my way on my own. But when you grow up, you realized, okay, this is going to be your needs, and this is going to be your wants, and this is your. Then set a certain things that you have to do and you have to create, or maybe you have to learn. But in childhood, ma'am, we don't feel like that. I mean, that is why we don't ever think when there was a work. I would think that this is not the thing I can do. I mean, mathematics, ma'am. When I was in 7th class, it was very hard, mathematics.
Ma'am, in childhood age, we have very pure by heart. We didn't value things, and we don't. Ma'am, we not greedy, and we are very. We don't value things, ma'am.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Maybe we don't as well. We want more.
We love everyone. We don't value things and materialistic things.
If we think about the example of global warming, if you say to a group of adults, what can we do about global warming? They might say, we could try to put more money into green energy things, but it's very expensive. You have the problem of this and the problem of the expense and the problem of motivation and the politics. How would a child respond to the question of what should we do about global warming? How would their response be a little bit different?
Yeah, ma'am. Lot of children, poor children, suffer from this.
So would they say something should just be done? Let's not think about the problems about doing it. Let's just think about doing it. Changes need to be made.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I think some of you agree with what she says. Some of you really disagree. Does anyone else want to share their opinions on this quote before we think about a slightly different viewpoint? Okay. It's interesting. I recommend watching her talk. It gives you a little bit of a different perspective. Often we think children don't know much, or what could adults learn from children, but she gives a really good TED talk. I really recommend it. It's good. It's a good English talk. There's good language. She doesn't use very complicated language, but it's very well structured. So to anyone who likes watching TED Talks or YouTube videos, I really recommend the TED Talk by Adora Svitak. Okay, let's think about a slightly different question then. What do you wish was different about adulthood? Is there anything anyone would change about adulthood? What maybe for some of you it would be easier to learn things. I think you can still learn things as an adult. What do you think? What do you wish was different? So the negatives. And what is the best thing about adulthood? The positives. So what I'm really asking you is, what are the good things about adulthood and what are the negative things?
Ma'am, could you tell me, ma'am, what is the age of adulthood? Is there any age
from
for adulthood, ma'am? Like teenager?
Yeah, from 18 up,
and
or from 21, 22 up. Some people might say from 25 up.
Ma'am, we have a lot of responsibilities in this age, but we have energy and we have to enjoy our life also in this age, both negative and positive perspective.
Yeah, so it's about enjoying things.
For her, actually, she mentioned in this age or at this age, ma'am, which is right?
In this? Say that again,
In
Huma?
this age or at this age, ma'am, which is correct? She mentioned, ma'am, we have responsibility, so many responsibility in this age.
Yeah. We can say, well, at this age is one particular age. At 18, at 20, at 21, that's one specific age. Then we're talking about years, but it does make sense to say in this age, we are talking about a time frame. In this age of computers, we can say. So in this age, it's a period of time, a length of time in this age. So if you had a timeline, it would be like this.
Ma'am, can I?
Yes, please, Rajesh. What is your opinion?
Ma'am, from a scientific point of view, according to the Supreme Guru, so our body's hormones read at the age of 14 to 80 years and increase. At the age of 28 to 42 years, the priority of most people above 14 years of age is religious because they are all the people of the world. Have seen the colors, the one who uses the right energy for these careers moves ahead and directs the energy in the right direction.
Yeah.
That's it.
So do you think as an adult, you have the power to do things in your life if you just focus? Is that the positive? And you can get your life in the right direction if you do things. Your life has started. Kumar, do you have something else you want to say? Okay, I see you unmuted. Rajesh? Yes?
From 18 up and 18 from 26 and 42. From 42. 3 divide.
Okay.
My opinion, 3 divide.
Interesting. So our body's always changing. There's not just
because ma'am 40 to 20 years age increase and increase at the age hormones and at 28 to 12 years the purity hormones is the so that's
science
it's scientific reason 40, 28 and 42.
Okay. Yes, I think as science learns more about us, we learn that there are different ages that we didn't know about. We tend to think of adulthood as this long time from maybe 20 until the rest of your life, but there are different changes in that time. It's maybe not just one adulthood, different stages of adulthood.
Ma'am?
Yes, Shalendra?
May I answer these questions?
Yes, please do.
Okay, so ma'am, what do you wish was different about childhood? So ma'am, in my opinion, so many people, large number of people, when they grow, they migrate to different cities and different countries for their livelihood. So ma'am, I wish we could get our livelihood in our own area so that we didn't have to leave our families and ma'am, in this way we can live with our family and we can pass on our tradition to the next generation. So this is the wish I want. I want to be different for the adulthood. And the next thing, what is the best thing about adulthood? The best thing about adulthood is you are free. Even your parents don't, most of the parents don't interfere with your decisions. They rightly accept your decisions and they don't judge you and they don't interfere with your personal life. This is the best thing about adulthood.
Yeah. Excellent, Chandra. I think, yeah, that's very true. We do live in an age where people are traveling, moving to different places. It would be nice to be an adult, but still have that connection to family. And yes, having the freedom, just like Abe said, the liberty, the freedom to make your own choices. That's definitely an important part of adulthood. Thank you, Shalendra. Does anyone else have any other opinions they want to share?
Good evening, madam.
Hi, Salim. How are you?
Yes, yes, madam. Can I speak?
Yes, please share.
I think the adulthoods, in between the adulthoods, the personality is being developed. The personality is being developed in adulthoods, from childhood to adulthood. The childhood, we are growing to learn something assembly in a school and the ethics and more. And when we are come in age of the adulthood, our personality is being developed.
Yeah.
And then we enter after 18 to 22 and between 23 in a university environment, we learn more practical life. And then subsequently, we will learn the practical life by doing the jobs, by doing the business. So this is the stage where in between the what exactly I'm trying to say, adulthood being develop your personality.
Yeah.
And because you got the freedom and you have a lot of way forward to have your life to build. So it is very critical time as well. I'm very, but I'm saying it is the critical because the personality is being developed.
That's true. Excellent. Yeah, in early adulthood, you're right. You're still developing your personality. I think we're developing our personality all through our lives, but you have less of the restriction. You have more freedom to make the choices about your personality than you did in childhood. You can decide these things, what you do. You have more choices. And just like you said, dealing with the practicalities of life too. So there's a lot at this age, in adulthood and in early adulthood and in childhood. Lots of personality development. Interesting. Does anyone else want to share an opinion?
Ma'am, the real meaning of life. The real meaning of life we realize in adulthood, ma'am, not in childhood.
Okay. Yeah.
And
okay. Interesting.
And I wish there was different about adulthood. Like we should not get older. I mean, we should be young for all time.
Well, I think scientists are working on learning about what causes aging. So maybe in the next 30, 20 years, they'll understand a little bit better. Maybe they'll be able to slow it down.
Ma'am, can I?
Yes, please, Rajesh. What do you think?
Ma'am, according to you, what should the childhood and youth do for a career and to be happy together?
For me, what do I think?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I agree with what many of you said, that maybe Adora doesn't realize that adults can be optimistic. They can try and do things, but I think it's good to take a little bit of the advice that sometimes adults can be a bit cynical about the possibilities of implementing solutions, of trying big things. I think adults do need big scale solutions to make things happen. I think if we think, for example, with global warming, if people are burdened with the problems, why it doesn't work, there's going to be little action. And too many people are, like Isha said, politically motivated. But that is something that we need big solutions and optimism. So I think there's a bit of both. I think we can learn to keep our childhood wonder and to think in a bigger way and to be more optimistic. But I agree that it's not that simple. And some adults are very optimistic. I think it's a mixture.
Ma'am, actually, every adult are optimistic because the things are doing only adult. And ma'am, they are doing because they are optimistic, ma'am. Right?
Yeah.
Whatever I'm doing because I am optimistic. If I'm
Okay. Yeah,
pessimist,
that's
I would
true.
not do that.
Yeah, adults are doing things because they think it's going to work, it's going to make a difference. That's true. I don't think it's a simple issue, but I think there is value in also thinking about the science, how our brain changes. I might have mentioned this, but I read an article quite recently which said that when we get to a certain age, we tend to think that the world was better at a certain point. And that happens to everyone. So maybe we can, if we're aware of it, we can say, well, things do improve, things do get better. But this is an interesting topic. Does anyone have any last questions or points they want to share? Okay, so thank you, Shailendra, for mentioning about Republic Day. If you're celebrating, I hope you have a wonderful day tomorrow. Happy Republic Day to everyone. I hope you managed to celebrate. Good luck with your cycle, Shailendra. I hope it happens. Maybe we will link this topic on Thursday about Republic Day, and we'll come back to this topic of different ages. Isha, again, if you have any topic requests, please let me know. I will be back on Thursday, 7 p.m. India Standard Time. So have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you for sharing your opinions. And they were very well expressed. Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you, Kumar. Bye, Isha.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a good day.
Bye, Salif. Bye, Shalin.